is up, everyone, and welcome back to another Animous review. And today we're going to be reviewing the Gaahleri Airbrush booth, the Waterfall booth, I might add. So let's get right to it. Alright, so first things first, now that we're here reviewing this booth, I do have to say that this booth does have pros and cons when it comes to everything that has to do with performance itself, right? So I know that I told you guys that I was going to be honest in all my reviews, and this is not going to be any different. So biggest thing that we're going to be comparing it to, we're going to be comparing it to the other airbrush booth that I have, which is right here. This right here is my my master airbrush spray booth. As you can see, I was just using it for something else, so basically we're just going to go ahead and try to compare from there, right? So my biggest thing with this is that the cost right now, so I did get it while it was on sale for the Christmas, right? So, or that Black Friday, that sale that they had here in December, like all the way up through December, with, you know, a lot of discounts that they had running on their site, right? So normally these spray booths go for around $300 to $350 depending on where you buy it. If you can catch it on sale, you might catch it for maybe $200, $250, right? So is it worth the price? Well, I'm gonna be very honest with you and tell you that at this time, I'm not so sure I can say that it is. I'm someone that paints for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time, and it's very hard for me to justify having to swap the water when it gets too dirty while I'm working. It's just so much work. Now features for the spray booth itself. Now, I'm not saying that the spray booth is not worth the purchase. It does actually have some pros, which we'll go to whenever we go down that lane, right? So my biggest thing with this is that if you're in the market for one of these, you have to make sure that you understand that you're also going to have to invest in other things. Like, for example, I already have to swap that filter back there. You might want to have to do that. And you're going to have to swap it a lot. That is the third filter I've used, and I've only sprayed in this booth maybe 3 days in a row. So I don't know, maybe I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to. I'm not sure there. However, you know, the carbon filters is a good add-on. Now, some people say that these get dirty fairly quickly. If I'm being honest, these are the only ones I haven't had to swap yet. So that back filter back there, I've had to swap it 3 times already since I've used it. Now, you might be able to familiarize this air booth with the Kaizo one and other companies that might be selling it as well. I honestly think that maybe all these companies get it from the same, I don't know, developer or whatever, and then they just brand their name and then sell it, which is fine. You know, you'll just get it in different price points, right? So with that being said, this one is the Gaahleri one. As you can see right here, has the Gaahleri signet right there, has the serial number, model number, and everything. If you look at the back, you do have the cable right here. So this is the power cable, and then it does have features like, for example, this right here would turn on the waterfall, which it will turn on in a minute. And so this one turns on the light, turns on and off, and then this one turns on the waterfall. And this little knob right here, it's actually to measure the velocity for your fans, your extractor fans. You can actually have it at a low setting, so it does like a little bit of it extracts a little bit of the smell. Maybe when you're done painting, if you're still having a lot of smells running in through the room, and you want to make sure that it does get taken out, right? So it's fairly easy to install. It just has a lot of parts, a lot of moving pieces. Some people might say that that these booths are maybe not worth it. In my case, I'm not saying it's not worth it. I just need to make sure that you understand that if you're someone like me that paints for long hours, this might not be the booth for you. Based on the fact that at some point you're gonna have to stop because the waterfall just kind of gets all janky whenever there's too much dirty particles or paint particles in the water, right? So we're gonna go ahead and turn on the waterfall right now. So basically you press the button, the pump starts running, and then you see the waterfall, it just tips to the top and then just drops, right? So around these corners right here, when you look at Gaahleri tells you like, hey, you need to make sure that that you just pass your finger around or whatever, and then do that. It will do this at some point. All you have to do is do that, pass your finger along the top, and it'll fix itself, right? Same with the corner right here, and it'll fix itself. Now, mine is freshly clean, so it doesn't have any paint or anything. The water's new, so you might not see it. You might not see the issues that occurred when I first started painting it. So the biggest thing that happened was that water started bubbling up because of all the paint that accumulated everywhere inside the water and the pump and everything right in the reservoir, which is placed underneath. It's placed underneath this right here. So that's my biggest thing. Like, you need to make sure that you understand that you see, here it is. Here's doing it now. So it'll do this every once in a while. You just got to make sure you just let it run. And then go from there. My biggest gripe with this is that if when the water gets dirty, it starts separating. The waterfall starts separating often, and then it gets to a point where you just got to turn it off and then just go ahead and clean it, dump the water, and then do it all over again. Now, if you're one of those people that casually sprays, you're gonna spray for maybe like an hour. You're gonna spray, maybe do a round of primers and then just leave it alone. Then that's fine. But keep in mind that after you do your work, you have to swap the water. You can't just leave it there. Mainly because it'll start running through the pump, and the water will start bubbling up, and that's a big issue, right? So, and I wanted to point that out because a lot of people think that these are almost like zero maintenance, but it's not. You have to do a little bit of maintenance here. You have to make sure you keep it clean. You got to keep the water clean. You got to change those filters in the back. I haven't had to change the carbon filters yet, but I'm guessing it's coming at some point. So, hasn't been working. Yes, I've seen definitive decrease in dust particles everywhere around my work area. I've also seen less clouding in my work area as well, aside from the master airbrush one, where you just have your filter in the back and then it just sucks the air out. When you spray, it just accumulates right there. And when you're spraying, sometimes whatever dust particles are in the booth will just spray all around, right? So that's the difference right there, and I haven't had any issues with that. I can say that is a big pro to having one of these. Now, with that being said, something that the manual doesn't tell you is that these things are very tricky to set to where the waterfall is even like that. Now, my gripe was that I could not get the waterfall to pour straight for the life of me. So, for any of you that are getting this spray booth, the trick to getting that done is that these have a little knob, knobs at the bottom, right here, and it has them in the tank, and it has them in the back. There's a total of 6 all across, right? So what you want to do is that you want to start from the back, and you're going to lift the back all the way up, and then you will adjust the ones to from the middle to where, and wait until the waterfall is pouring evenly. All right, that is the trick. That is something that I wish that I knew before I started working on mine. But I had a friend that was nice enough to let me know, like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what I did with mine, and that fixed it. Right, so and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's been working great so far. If you can get past the fact that you have to swap the water after each use, then I guess this would be something that's very good. Myself, I'm the type of person that I'll paint for hours, and having to swap the water it's just annoying. It's just very annoying having to swap the water constantly. Because yes, of course, I understand that we need to swap the water and do maintenance. But if you're someone like me that paints for long hours during the day, like I could spend a whole day painting, then, because I'm working on multiple projects at the same time, then it becomes a problem because it just becomes another task that I got to take care of while I'm painting throughout the day, right? So keep that in mind whenever you are purchasing one of these. Make sure you get replacement filters too. Some people don't get them. You do need them, so just make sure you get some for yourself. It does come with a nice turntable here, so you can just place in the item, and if you're painting like a car or whatever, it works perfectly. I didn't have any issues with that. It does bring a long hose in the back that you can route to wherever you want. It has a 3-fan setup as well, and it's pretty. I think it's pretty strong. Time will test it, I guess, while I'm working with it. It does bring a water pump. I did not see a list for replacement parts, but I'm guessing that the water pump, you could probably replace it with something else, maybe something stronger. Another tip that I have for you is that in the instructions, it tells you to place the water pump standing up. Don't do that. Place it laying down sideways to one of the corners. That way you'll avoid having, an issue where it's not sucking the water evenly or whatever. You're not getting enough pump out of there. Make sure you open that tab also, so that way it pours out, right? So final thoughts on this Waterfall spray booth. Well, it's a little hard for me to determine whether or not this is worth it for like someone that's I cannot recommend something like this for someone that's starting in the hobby, being as it requires a lot of work, not to get it working properly. But for example, if you're using it today and you're someone that doesn't paint every day, that you paint like maybe once a week, you still gotta empty it out. You can't let the water just sit there for a week and then come back and paint. So it's like after each use, you should be looking into dumping the water. So I don't know. It's up to you guys. To my opinion is that I cannot recommend this product to someone that's starting in the hobby. Maybe somebody that's a little bit more experienced down the line. Then yes, I could definitely recommend something like this. So that it is a great tool. There are others out there. There's metal ones as well. For the price point, I feel that it could be better. It could be a lot better. But it's been working so far, so time will tell. Eventually we will do a maintenance video for this, and I will go through all the details and everything that you need to look out for when you take it apart, so you can clean everything. And we're going to do a deep clean on this thing once I'm finishing with some of my projects, and then we'll go from there, right? So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.